Okay, good evening. Welcome to this regular scheduled business meeting of the Summersville City Council on this 25th day of January 2021. Wow, January's almost slipped away. I'd like to welcome everybody here this evening. Our guests, thank you for coming tonight. And we've got a full agenda that concludes our meeting with an executive session, so we'll move right in tonight's agenda with the first item being consideration of the council minutes of a meeting we held on January 11th, 2021.
Move to approve, waive the reading.
We have a first and a second. Council, the motion was to waive the reading. Are there any changes or amendments to your minutes as they were presented in your packet? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carries. Next item, public comment. Did anybody sign up, Gary, to speak other than our agenda items? Okay, the next item on the agenda, Council, is our comprehensive plan, the review process and update. And just a little caption here before we start. Tonight, we are blessed to have with us Lauren Weatherford and Amy Cook, who are both extension agents. And so just to kind of lay some groundwork here to bring everybody up to speed, our city recorder, Gary Withey, in the Planning and Zoning Commission, or along with the Planning and Zoning Commission, as a part of trying to get our comprehensive plan approved, get all the details finished and put on the shelf so we have a usable plan. We, in a great way, have been engaged with WVU over the course of the past couple of years, which was a program moving together Summersville, or moving Summersville forward together was the actual plan, which we were engaged with a graduate class, which brought many, many resources to our plan and folks to work on. Highlighting that was our fortunate to have local folks that were engaged through the graduate class, and now the city, through our recorder's office and the Planning and Zoning Commission, have engaged in further and continuing our process with our local extension service. So with that said, I can't say enough about the work collectively with their groups and individually that Lauren and Amy have put into helping the city of Summersville with this comprehensive plan, and also other projects that we'll later get into. But with that said, what I'd like to do is welcome to the podium for a review of the process and an update of where we're at. I'd like to welcome both Lauren and Amy.
Good evening, and thank you for having us. So Lauren's handing out a sample agenda of what we're going to be doing in these meetings that we're going to start next Monday. And we just wanted to give you a sort of overview of how the whole process is going to work, and an invitation to join us. So as Mayor Schaefer mentioned, we've been working on this for a long time. We've been working in this community for about 1.5 years through that graduate program. The Extension Service has been here a whole lot longer than that. But in this particular plan, we've been here about 1.5 years, and we did do that comprehensive plan back in the spring, and I think you all have copies of it, either digitally or maybe printed at this point. I think you're going to get them printed eventually. So you can see the work that we've been doing. And it's important work, and we're really proud of it. The students that were involved in the graduate class really became involved in the community. They talked to people like you. A lot of you probably spoke with them on the phone or in person at meetings to help them determine what was best to put in the plan in each section of it. So we just want to talk to you a little bit about how the educational series is going to work, and that's what we're calling it, is an educational series. It's a partnership between the City of Summersville and WVU Extension. And so it's going to be basically an 8-week class where we have discussion, we have an educational series of 20 minutes we're going to start with, where we have an expert come in and talk to you about each component of the plan. And then the rest of the period that we have, which is a 2-hour, 6 to 8 is what we're going to do it, that will be question and answer. So that is going to give you plenty of time to say, hey, I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me a little bit better? Or what about this? Could we put that in there instead? Because what we want you to remember most is that it's your plan. So while WVU and the students did help come up with the plan or ideas for the plan, it is your plan, and we need it to reflect what the citizens of this community would want to be in it. So that's the most important thing we want to talk about. We're going to give you a packet each session, and it's going to have an agenda just like you just received, so that you understand what we're going to be talking about. You can look ahead in your plan, you can read it, each element that we're going to talk about each week so that you know what questions you might have in advance. And then it's also going to include basically like a summary of the element that we're talking about for that week, so that you can, maybe you have a little less time and you don't have time to read the whole section of the plan, or maybe you don't understand it. So we're calling it as a layman's term summary basically, so you can kind of understand that element a little bit better. So why is that important for you? Why would you want to attend this educational series that we're going to have? And I know that's probably on each of your minds. It's really important because we need for you guys to understand the plan, to want the plan. Like Mayor Schaefer mentioned earlier, we want it to be a usable document. So we don't want it to sit on a shelf. A lot of hard work went into it. We want you guys to own it and to use it. So we want you to come so you understand it, and then you can take that information back to your constituents. They're going to ask you, well, wait a minute, I saw this plan that you guys are going to adopt, and I don't understand. Why would you do that? Why would anybody want to do that? Or why didn't you include this? Or why doesn't it say this instead of that? And that way you can say to them, well, this is why. We've had experts come in and talk to us about this. This is why it's good for the city of Summersville. This is why we're going to do it this way. This is why we want you to get on board with helping us adopt this plan. So again, we really want you to get this in-depth look at each section of the plan so that you fully understand it. And I think that's going to help everybody. We've talked before about ordinances, and I'm sure Mayor Schaefer has talked to you guys about ordinances and the need to redo some of those. Well, the way that you do that is that you have a plan in place that reflects what your ordinances should be. So when you go and you say, well, that ordinance doesn't make very much sense, or we'd rather do this instead, you go back to your plan and say, well, how could we word that ordinance to really reflect what the city of Summersville is looking for? And when you have a comprehensive plan to go back to, it makes more sense. So that's another reason why you might want to be involved in that process. Again, like I mentioned before, we have real time to ask experts questions. So whereas if you read the plan and you had a question, you might email somebody, it might take them a little bit of time to get back to you. You might ask Gary to email somebody, to get that answer. But if you're at the meeting, you're going to have real-time opportunity to say, hey, can you answer this for me because I don't understand. You're also going to have discussion time amongst each other. So somebody might raise a question that you didn't think of, but when they do, then it makes sense to you and you want that answered as well. So it helps when we're in a group, and you know that from these meetings. It helps to discuss things together. So with all of that being said, we basically would just like to extend an invitation to you to join us for the next 8 sessions. We're going to do 2 a month, as you probably know already. The first and third Mondays from 6 to 8 p.m. starting next Monday, February 1st. We're really excited to bring this opportunity to the city of Summersville. We have people that really understand comprehensive plans and how that works, what's necessary to be in a comprehensive plan. So we think that they're going to be very helpful to you all, and we hope that you'll join us in this process. Laura?
So thank you for having us today. And as many of you may know or kind of know, Amy is a resident of Summersville lifelong. She is an extension agent, but she covers Braxton and Clay counties. And I am the Fayette and Nicholas extension agent for families and community development. So we do the same job, only she covers Braxton Clay, but since she is from Summersville and we've been involved in this community development project in the city, she and I are working together closely. So one of the nice things about our job is that we get to kind of choose sometimes where we can go. Maybe it's okay that she's not in Braxton County doing this. It's fine that she's here with us. And I know I'll take all of her help. So I just want to go through that document just a little bit and emphasize some points that Amy talked about. So at the top of that handout that I gave you, that's the draft outline for next week's session. we're working on it. We have a team, and as you guys know, everything in 2020 into 2021 is a little bit flexible and sometimes has to be changed at the last minute. We were hoping we'd have a confirmed agenda by this date, but we'll get there. This is pretty close. So it just talks about kind of the things. So you can see if you look at the third thing there, element 1 and 2, natural resources, cultural and historical resources. So those are the first 2 elements in the plan. We may not always go in order, but we're going to start with those first 2 because it was the easiest thing to start with. It's right there in the beginning. We'll just get that started. This first meeting may be a little bit of a kind of pilot exercise to see how the best way to do things because it is going to be by Zoom. It is open to the public. So we just want to make sure that, some of these little technical details and processes are easy. Also, you're going to be hearing from two faculty specialists at WVU. One is named Michael Doherty, and the other is Daniel Eads. And Michael in particular, you'll probably see a lot of through this process because he's the one, as Amy mentioned, who has a lot of, he has 30 years of experience developing comprehensive plans. So he's the one you'll probably see the most of, but Daniel is also, an invaluable resource. We're just really happy that they got on board. So below that, I just went ahead and put the Zoom link information. We're going to be sending that out here. Jason Eads has it already, and it will be sent out to you via email so people can do that. I'm also going to send tomorrow, Jason, a little handout on how to work with Zoom. So if somebody's not used to doing that, you'll have some instructions for how to do that. It's one of those things, it's kind of once you do it the first time, then you realize it's not so bad after that. But that way too, we're hoping that maybe if people don't have to go out on a rainy, cold, icky night, we might get some more participation. Because I know if I hadn't promised you all that I was coming, I wasn't going to leave my house tonight. It was awful out there. Below that, those are just the 10 elements of the plan, so you can kind of see some of the other topic areas that will be covered. And again, it's going to be flexible. If there's one that needs more than one session to talk about, then we'll do that. If we can cover a couple in 1 week, then we'll cover a couple and get done faster. And then on the back, and this really kind of comes back to why does the city council care about what planning and zoning committee's job is, right? Well, the answer is, I took this from a letter that the mayor and the recorder shared with me from the city lawyer who went through the steps on how a comprehensive plan is adopted. And we went ahead and added that to the back of this so that you could kind of read through the steps. And if you see there, ultimately it's up to the city council to approve its adoption. The Planning and Zoning Committee develops it, they review it, they send it to city council, and there's a couple back and forths. But city council ultimately is the one who votes on it. So who's ultimately responsible for the plan? You all. Not really me. Us. Trying to share. When moms say, we're going to do this, and it really just means you guys.
Means the kids.
That's kind of what we're doing. But I wanted to emphasize that because ultimately that is where responsibility for the plan sits. The other thing, you may say, well, we've had a plan in the past and we didn't really use it, so what difference is between that and this? And the answer is, it's like any good plan. If you work on it and you use it and you adopt it, it can be a huge tool for you. So that's what we're hoping to do because we have found, and the research shows many times over, that cities who work with comprehensive plans to guide them really have more success in accomplishing more activities. So we want to help you guys to do that. And it also is able to answer questions like, well, you guys just made that up in a meeting. No, we didn't. We're following the plan. We're doing this. So that's why there's an element of public engagement. And we do. This is not something, the first plan you all were handed, just like cities across the state, were handed a deadline. You have to have a comp plan. Many cities, including you all, hired consulting firms. They took a little information they knew, they drafted a plan, and then it got shoved on the shelf. We don't want this to be that. We want this to be something that Summersville has a bright future. And I will tell you, we do work with a lot of cities throughout the state and extension, you will have some of the best momentum, some of the best resources available to you, and we want to help you guys to utilize those so that that plan really comes to fruition. Those visions that you have, that's your idea and your idea and your idea, that they come together and they really form this distinct path that you all are able to accomplish. So that is our formal pitch. We sincerely hope that you will participate. If nothing else, give us next Monday. Give us about 45 minutes to an hour next Monday. If you hate it after that, then we won't fault anybody for not showing up.
No, don't say that.
We won't.
I know, he may.
Hey, listen, let me stress a couple of things here off of what you all just said. Council, in all seriousness, this is really important that we have a strong showing of city council through this education. Because as Lauren and Amy have correctly stated, at the end, we're the body right here that approves it and sets it on the shelf. Of course, with planning and zoning, Gary and Jim and Brandon are already engaged. And so I'm issuing a challenge that the rest of us get engaged and attend, and even the planning and zoning members. This is an 8-week training. Everybody's not going to be able to be there every week, but we need you when you can be. Now, what I wanted to ask you is you're going to send out an email, somebody is, to council, right, for the Zoom? Okay. Now, I want to get some clarity. Jean, do you have your paper down there? This paper that she passed out? Okay, is this number, this phone number, and that meeting ID, is this correct for Monday's meeting? Okay, so Jean, if you're not able to call in, if you're not able to connect by Zoom, okay, when you're watching your ball game Monday night, next Monday night, you could dial this number and put this code in, and you can listen to the entire meeting. Okay, I mean, because I don't know, do you have a computer at home where you can, because you don't get email, do you, Gene?
Yeah, well, I don't get it.
Okay, yeah,
I
okay.
do have one.
So I just wanted you to know, anybody that doesn't do email or doesn't want to do the actual Zoom call, you can phone in. And I was just pointing that out for you, Gene, because I knew that you didn't do the email thing. Gary, do you have anything you want to add?
Really, just as part of my report, I would just say that I want to echo everybody's response here. It's important that we all get involved. The reason for that, I think that hopefully we're going to stir enough out there that people may end up needing to ask you a question or two. They may feel more comfortable in calling their council person. So I'm so pleased with Amy and Lauren, having them with us. This collaboration is amazing. And I think you're going to get a whole lot out of it. There's some things I want to add, just so that you know if people ask. This is how we're going to begin communicating. My email address at the city building is recorder@summersvillewv.org. And I'm going to ask people, if they're not comfortable with Zoom, they're not comfortable with the phones, asking questions, that they can feel free to reach out to me via email. And I'm going to respond back to each and every one of those emails. If I do not have the answer, I'm going to call on my friends, and they're going to help and assist through that. So that's how we'll be reaching out to them. Also through SCTV, we'll put some things up on that on SCTV also. I also want everybody to know the draft that I believe you all already have, but I brought some extras just in case some are misplaced or if you need it. Each one of these pages say draft. We're going to go ahead, and it should have already hit today. We have posted this on the Summersville website, okay? And how you get to that is through summersvillewv.org, and that takes you to our website, the city's website, and that will be on there. They can either just click on it and read it, or they can click on it and print it, either way. So that'll be there. I'm hoping that when they see this on SCTV, if they would like to know the Zoom meeting link, if they'll shoot me an email at recorder@summersvillewv.org, I'll be glad to copy and paste that over to them and send that out via email. So we'll try to maybe get that on SCTV here in a little while too. So with that being said, I'm looking forward to it. I do want to add the folks that have got involved with some of these small group sessions before, some of these things that we just recently did, they are wearing me out already because they're like, Gary, when do we go? When do we start going? So I know they're going to be a part of these Zoom meetings. They're excited about it, and they want to see things clear to fruition. So again, I want to thank Amy and Lauren. You guys have been terrific, and I'm looking forward to working with you over the next 8 weeks.
Okay, and moving, before we move to the next subject, council, each one of you were given tonight in your packets an introduction to the comprehensive plan, which this PowerPoint goes with the video. Are we going to load that video on the city's website?
You know what? I think we should.
Yeah.
I think we should. I can do that.
So-
I need to get.
Yeah, so this PowerPoint goes with a video that Dr. Stout did that this last week, Planning and Zoning watched the video. So the other thing, if you want to kind of get the table set before this first meeting on Monday, you can, one, read through this PowerPoint about what a comp plan is, and then if you also want to, Gary will get that video loaded that goes with this on the city's website. Okay? All right, so I guess Monday it is, the first meeting. Thanks
Yeah.
again.
Let me add real quick too that we will be, this week, we asked the other partners involved to get us any materials by Wednesday so that I could get things to Gary and he could make sure if somebody needed a hard copy or something like that, that could be arranged prior to Monday. So if there is somebody who only calls in, which is perfectly fine, we deal with that all the time. If there's somebody who calls in, then they would have print materials to look at while you're listening to the call.
Yep, good deal.
We will do that, and then in future events, we'll have it out earlier than that.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Thanks so much. Okay, Lauren, you can say. Okay, so the next agenda item, once again, WVU has asked me to enter into another program, and that's what Lauren is going to discuss now. It's an introduction discussion to Recreation Economic Development Program. And Lauren, go ahead and take it away again.
So this is something that we are just beginning in this area. And if any of you have heard of, Richwood is a part of a program called the Mon Forest Towns. And if you have gone to Richwood, White Sulphur Springs, Elkins, Davis, Thomas, there's 10 cities, I think, maybe more, involved in this effort called the Mon Forest Towns. And what they are doing, this is where the first project started, and then Amy actually is involved in one in Clay County along the Elk River. They're creating their own initiative along the Elk River and the Elk River trails. And then what I came here to talk about is one that we are just very beginning stages of. We haven't even had the big group presentation, but the mayor said he was interested and wanted to talk to city council about it, and I said, well, no reason to slow it down. Let's just start talking. The Mon Forest Initiative, which is what these other initiatives are kind of modeled after, is that you take some kind of resource, in this case a recreational resource such as the Monongalia National Forest, and you work, so all these towns and cities want to improve their economies and improve their quality of life. I mean, we're all striving for that. But the question is, can you do more together than you can separately? And the answer is yeah. So what they have done is they have come together, they've created a regional steering committee, and then all the cities who are interested, cities, towns, whatever you want to call them, who are interested, then they kind of say, we want to participate. The first city I know to participate was Davis. I don't remember the order, I've read it before, but I know Davis started. And if you go to some of these towns, you will see signs when you enter that say Mon Forest Town. And so it's something easily identifiable right there. And so they are leveraging those resources. They're partnering with Extension, with USDA, the National Forest, and they're working together to create this kind of unified marketing and development campaign that utilizes the resources available in the Mon Forest. For instance, Richwood is building themselves, based on this partnership, building themselves as a mountain biking hub for the country. They're already getting national attention because people can go to Richwood, stay and eat, and then go and do some of the best mountain biking that we have in the area right out their back door. And so really leveraging that in ways that haven't, and not waiting for some big business to necessarily come in and save the town. They're doing it themselves. And so West Virginia has this huge opportunity for this recreation economy. And that could mean lots of different things. So it doesn't, I'm not like limiting anything, but this outdoor recreation economy is something that the state is really pushing. WVU just got a $25 million grant to develop some of these things. And so this is something that has a lot of power behind it and potentially a lot of money. So one of the things that they have in the Mon Forest Initiative is anybody who's interested in starting a new business can have access to technical expertise and possibly funding. That's one thing they're doing as a united region, is creating funding opportunities for new business development. And that's something that's so much more than what a single city could do. So those are just so many ideas. And then we are focusing on the New River Gorge area. So that's where Summersville comes into play. So we wanted to, Doug Arbogast, who is another extension specialist, he works very closely with those other two we mentioned. Doug is going to put some data together, and we're going to come back to you and talk to you more about some of the data and some of the things that are available that we can just pull information out and say, these are some of the things that might be available in the Summersville area. Things like highlighting this lake that is one of a kind. And access to the Mon Forest and many other things. So we're going to talk to you more about it, but I just wanted to kind of put that idea forward, and we'll be putting some presentations together and asking stakeholders in the 4 New River Gorge counties, which we'll start with, and if it expands, that's fine, but with the national park now becoming a national park, official national park, there will be more users coming in, and Summersville is very easily positioned. The comp plan actually talks about it, of being that gateway of the north into the New River Gorge area. You know, you've got the Gauley River, which is actually in Nicholas County. You've got the New River Gorge. This is all part of the region. And how do we use those things to really build and develop the economy here?
Okay.
Any questions so far?
So, and one of the things that when Lauren brought this to my attention about this initiative that we're going to enter, you know, when you start paying attention to the environment we're in now and moving forward, it appears, as we're getting word from all directions, that the focus going forward, there's going to be a lot of state resources put in recreation and tourism development. And so I think that in some of the depth of what Lauren and Doug are going to bring to the table, in combination with some of the other things that are going to be happening, they just go hand in hand. So we'll be looking forward to a future update and becoming a part of that initiative.
Yeah, and let me just give you one example. So I am aware that there's a movement in the city to work on a sports complex park area, and that's something the city would like to provide. So if you can do that, and you have this beautiful convention center, but the big question is, why would people book here instead of somewhere else? Because having come from north of Cincinnati originally, I can tell you there's a whole lot of places that have convention centers and hotels and ball fields. So what makes Summersville different? And the answer is all this other stuff that you have. So you can bring people in to play ball for a week, and then they can spend time on the lake, and they can mountain bike, and they can horseback ride, and they can go hiking and bird hunting, or you know, whatever. But those are the things that make people want to book events here instead of somewhere else, because you need to leverage those magical things that you do have that make you unique. So that's just kind of the idea we'll be talking about. And then what can we do together with these other cities in the area that do things like creating New River Gorge Town, you know, access to the north, to the New River Gorge area. These kinds of things help people know, and they'll see it when they start driving through, and these things will make a difference.
I think it's also going to allow us to capitalize some on the redesignation of the New River Gorge being a national park.
100%.
Yeah, so there's a lot to be gained, and a lot we need to start tagging in on to be a player. So
Yeah, and this will be partners we're looking at are the Regional Development Authority, are the National Park. We're looking at those kinds of partners just like they have some kind of significant partners in the Mon Forest.
Thanks.
Any questions? So that's my initial pitch. We'll be back.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lauren, thank you. Amy, thank you. Appreciate all you do to help us in the city. Okay, moving along. Recorder's report.
Mayor, I have nothing further.
Okay. Mayor's report. Let's jump in. I got a whole bunch of information here. First thing I want to do is I want to remind everybody about the City of Summersville council grants. The applications are available. Of course, they are due by Friday, February 26th of 2021. And again, want to emphasize that these grants are available for any nonprofit organization for projects or services within the Summersville city limits or in close proximity. So if you need help getting an application, you can always call City Hall, 304-872-1211, and go to Cookie's extension 104, and she can email you an application. Council, I want to bring you up to date as this time of the year we begin to look at the next fiscal year budgeting process, which would be the 21-22. So I do want to give you right now the date of the finance meeting for the 21-22 budget, and that will be Thursday, March 4th at 6 p.m. right here at the Arena and Conference Center. In doing so, the other thing that I'd kind of like to give you an update on, the City of Summersville's claims savings account. We've had another remarkable year. From an actuarial standpoint, it seems as if for the risk that we underwrite ourselves as a city per person on our plan, actuarially, it's probably recommended that we maintain about $450,000 in our claims savings account. Effective after we paid all claims this month, I just wanted to let you know, again, another remarkable year. Our balance right now in our savings account, health savings account, is $742,785. So again, that puts us in a remarkable, incredible shape for our self-funding of our plan. The other thing I want to do is I've been in recent contact and dialogue with the medical mobile unit with the veterans. Excitingly, the Dr. Rhonda Guy, and the nurse are currently in orientation in the VA clinic, and it won't be long, and they'll be open for business up here. And the way that's going to work is they will start notifying veterans and giving them an option to have their appointment here, vice going to the VA. And then there's some other things that we're working on too, relative to telehealth. And again, I can't stress enough that the ultimate goal is for us to have a full-fledged medical clinic up here in Nicholas County for our veterans. And I can tell you that they're still committed to that, and we still keep working towards that goal. I also want to give everybody a reminder that the 2020 City of Summersville B&O returns, the deadline, if you want to qualify for that $300 exemption, you have to have your B&O tax return filed by no later than our close of business, 4:30 on February 12th, close of business. And again, that's a 2-week extension to the normal requirement to not get penalties and stuff, because it's basically due at the end of January. We've extended it per what you all authorized at the last meeting to the 12th of February. Want to also let everybody know that the City of Summersville Police Department sponsored Neighborhood Watch program. They're going to have a meeting here at the Arena and Conference Center Thursday night, this Thursday night, the 28th at 6 p.m. So invite everybody to come out to that meeting. It will be set up. I think they're going to hold it. I believe they're going to try to do it in the arena. So there will be plenty of room for social distancing. So invite the entire community to come out to that. The other thing I'll say real quick is I'm aware of the police department highlighting a neighborhood where they've got additional interest, and they had a meeting. And if I'm correct, Chief, you had pretty good success with that, correct?
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So what we can say is, that there is a neighborhood in our community that's taken advantage of the program, and what we do is encourage our entire community to get involved in the Neighborhood Watch program. Speaking of comp plans, this is another important one. As ours is out for review, and of course we're still working through the pieces or the elements of it. The Summersville Lake Master Plan and Integrated Environmental Assessment is out. You can access it on the city's website. It's a pretty healthy document in itself, folks. This is important. This is basically the 20-year plan of the Army Corps of Engineers with the future of the lake. And I look at it this way. The Corps is the caretaker. The citizens are the owner. And it is important that people get involved in this, read this. It deals with all aspects of it. The natural resource, the recreational, and there's a whole lot that it deals with. So we were able to get, if you've seen an email that said the public comment period expired on January 16th, it has been extended to February 16th. So, the information is available on our website to kick back comments, and even the phone number if you want to call them. If you need any additional information, I encourage you to get a hold of City Hall, and we can get you there. There's some good stuff in here, and there's some challenging stuff in here. But more importantly, they need feedback from our community. Let me see if I hit everything else. I didn't miss anything, because I'd like to finish on this. What I'd like to finish on is I want to talk a little bit about the Nicholas County Health Department. I cannot say enough about the commitment of Kelly Amick and Michelle Underwood. To me, it's just incredible. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and unfortunately, it's funny. I was digging through some stuff that I've had, stacks of stuff. Actually, I was trying to sort out and see what needed to be saved and archived at City Hall, and what could go to the circular file. And I come across where about a decade ago, the city was actively involved in a plan for a pandemic. But the plan that was put together was dealing with a flu pandemic. And it's incredible when you think about back then what we thought it would take to get us through. And now you look at what's getting us through a pandemic, and our resources are so limited. And it's remarkable what the health departments, our health department, what they're pulling off. And I'm telling you, I'm in regular contact with them. Actually, I was on the phone with them last night at 6:30 at night. And I've told them many times, man, do you all ever, I've even offered to bring them cots. But I'm telling you, that's the kind of dedication that's taken place. And so I can't say enough and give enough praise to our local health department. And it's under the leadership of Kelly Amick and Michelle Underwood that all this is happening. But the other thing that I wanted to announce tonight is that starting next week, they know that there's at least already a 2-week commitment. They're going to get 200 vaccines in a week, and then plus the supply of second doses. So once people get the first dose, the second dose is always planned to come. But starting next week, they're going to do the 200 doses a week at least. And they're putting a clinic together, and they're going to try it. It's going to be a pilot program. They're going to move it up here to the conference center, is where they're going to try to give these vaccines at. But this is important. What citizens need to do is go to www.vaccinate.wv.gov. Everybody needs to go to that website and register. Or call this number. If you don't have the ability to register through the website, and again, it's vaccinate.wv.gov, or call this number, 833-734-0965. That's a call center. It's open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturdays, 9 to 5. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so it's important. I can't stress enough. And it's amazing how it works, because you'll get emails and text messages when your shot's available. And they're going to do it by appointment. Okay? So let me just say it one more time. www.vaccinate.wv.gov, or call 833-734-0965. The other thing that they've established in West Virginia is if you have interest in helping the health department in any way, be outside of one of these distribution places where they're giving the vaccines, and or if you might be a nurse or somebody that's got the ability to actually give the shots, they're asking you, if you want to be a volunteer, to go to wvredi.org. And again, for people, you got to do www.wvredi.org. If you're out there and you're interested in helping the health department. So, you know, the whole idea is that you know, society's going to change, our life is going to change when we get folks vaccinated. So I can't say enough to please go out and get registered. The other thing, and I didn't bring it because I deal with them on their cells, but if you have any questions, you're always welcome to call the local health department, but I can tell you it's a busy place. And in some cases, you know, you might have to try for a while before you get through. But that number I gave is a call center if you don't have the ability to get registered online. But anyway, shout out, kudos to our health department. They've been doing a wonderful job.
That registration is very simple. I did it today.
Good.
Just a few minutes and you're done.
Okay, so there you have it. You know, just please go out and get registered. If you need help, call that number. Thank you, Steve. Okay, that concludes the mayor's report. Any council reports?
Mayor, I don't know whether you mentioned it previously or not, but I have to acknowledge the passing of Joe Rath.
Oh, thank you.
And
Yes.
extend our condolences and sympathies to his family. I didn't know Joe personally, but I understand he was a good community citizen in Somerville, and he was active not only on council for several years, but also senior citizens, senior center, and also Old Main. So
Yes.
I'm sure other things too, but we can extend our condolences to his family.
Thank you, Jim. And I apologize for missing that, because very good point. And just so the citizens know, we did put the wreaths up at City Hall in his memory and honor of his many years of service in our community. So yes, let's remember Councilman Citizen Joe Rath. Thank you, Jim. Okay, any other comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session. We have a first?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.